that project, because he was involved before, during, and after, many, many times during the construction phase. He was almost like a second clerk of the works. He would go out there and make recommendations for certain things. And most of those recommendations we took because they came from Wayne and they were important. Some of them not visible.
One of those was called Wayne's Wall. It was up on the.
Yeah, I remember it very well.
It used to leak alongside, and you know, it was being constructed, and I must like, well, Wayne's whining about something, but Clerk of the Works actually took pictures, and there was water coming through the wall under the floor, so they dug the wall up and waterproofed it, and the issue went away.
And that was in the old building, and Wayne insisted on that. Not everyone was in agreement, because of course, like everything else, was gonna cost more money, so. And then after the completion of the project, there were a lot of systems over there that were extremely complicated, mechanical systems, heating, ventilation systems. And again, Wayne is the one that kind of studied the manuals, implemented the procedures, and trained the rest of the staff on how to use them. So he did a tremendous job above and beyond the call of duty on that project.
I also want to add that, and we've talked about this before, but the condition of our two older buildings. I've been to a lot of older schools, and you go to some high schools and you see locker doors ripped off the hinges, you see graffiti all over the place. It's my understanding that if we have graffiti at our high school or middle school, within about 5 minutes, it's reported and gone. And, you know, Catherine Craven from the MSBA was extremely surprised at the condition of our high school, given its age.
And that was a surprise visit, too. They
Exactly,
didn't know she was
right.
coming either.
They didn't
so.
have time to prepare. And so I think we're doing the best we can. And again, it's one of those, we always say this, you're getting a really good value for your dollar spent on the maintenance and upkeep of our schools here. So I think you're doing a great job. Carl?
I'd also like to mention that when the superintendent announced the spending freeze, the following day, the custodial union leadership requested a meeting with me, and their goal at that meeting was to let us know that they want to do anything they can to assist. They're aware that we're going through hard times. They're aware that we're looking at everything we can do. So they have followed through in a number of areas, and they understand that one of the things we're doing is we're reducing overtime, and we're being very frugal with materials and supplies. So I have to give them some credit for not only their efforts, but what they've done to date.
Questions?
Any questions?
Thanks, Wayne. Oh, we have it.
Sorry, just quickly.
Go ahead.
Two things. Number one, from what I can, Jeff Stewart, 427 Clark Street, sorry. First of all, from what I can hear that you're doing there, Wayne, it sounds spectacular. To hear the number tens of thousands of dollars are being saved. Whenever I hear things like that, the big question always comes to my mind is, how do we get the community, other than a meeting like this, to know that these things are being done? Because I don't believe most of the community hasn't a clue of what Wayne is accomplishing for the community and saving money. And I don't have an answer for this. I just wonder if you have to think about finding ways. I know Principal Fauché sends a daily letter out, and I don't know if the principals can do something like that, include that in their letters to say, you know, dear parents, we saved some money today. We had some work done, and there was graffiti reported. It was taken care of right away. Things like that that can get out to the general public so that they know.
I think a couple of ways we can do that, and I've never thought of this before, because I know Dr. Troughton occasionally does newsletters, the principals do newsletters. We could probably post something up on the website. You know, your maintenance crew at work. We could talk about. I know we've also saved money in transportation for special ed by hiring our own drivers and buying a van as opposed to paying outside companies. You know, I don't know if we can quantify it dollar for dollar, but I do think we could put it on the website, and I think it's, you know, maybe a couple times a year we ought to have, you know, a little bit something like this come out from Wayne, and it goes home to all the parents, so the parents know what we're doing in terms of maintenance and how we're saving money by doing the things we're doing today. So I think that's a great idea, Jeff, and I think we can probably. I know Wayne's been dying to do a regular newsletter. No, but I think Wayne, this is it pretty much right here, and we could just add a little introduction to it and get it out to all the parents.
We all know that, you know, something goes wrong in our house, we call a plumber. And,
Right.
You know, it's $120 to say
Exactly.
hi, or whatever the dollar amount is, so
Yeah.
he should be able to show something like that. We
Right.
didn't have to call AZ Plumbing for this, and, because we know they would have charged somewhere around this much, and we did it pretty much at cost, because the gentleman paid salary and so on.
And all the things that the person that's doing the HVAC system and the plumbing, et cetera, we had to call in someone for all of those jobs in the past, all of them. So you know how much that costs versus having an employee. So that's a good suggestion. I think we'll take that, and take that up and see what we can get out to the parents. Good idea.
And even in
And one more thing.
Go ahead.
The lights, you mentioned they're on from 4 to 12. Why the 12? Can the 12 be reduced to 10? Is there a savings in that regard?
What lights did you say?
In the
Parking lot.
parking
Exterior
lights.
lights.
Parking lots, yeah.
No, I'll take a stab at it. I know that many years ago, they were on 24, not 24 hours, they're on all night
Right.
for security purposes.
Yes,
That's why
that's the issue.
they're on. And we made a tough decision and didn't really publicize it, that we would cut it back to 12.
Yeah.
I think, I'm not sure what the best answer to that is, Mr. Yule. I think it's our best judgment at this point that 12 o'clock is a reasonable hour to maintain lighting around our buildings.
I would agree that maybe late, from dark until dawn would be a good idea, to
Right.
be honest with you, but I understand where you're coming from.
You know, we'll talk that over to see if we can save an hour or two. Yet, you know, there is still activity around our buildings
Yeah,
through 10 o'clock.
Well, I can see Friday night a big concern,
Yes.
We have had a tremendous amount of vandalism, for example, at the Little School, which is one of the least lighted buildings in the area, and we've improved the lighting over there. And I think we're trying to balance, not inviting vandalism and things like that by keeping the lights on, but it's something to look at. Maybe we can keep fewer lights on. I don't know how
Yeah.
the system works, but it's something to consider.
Have you looked into motion detectors on certain lights? That they would automatically go on when someone moved around?
Well, I guess we're fortunate, we have very little vandalism on our building, we're fortunate, we have a great police department. But we are looking into that. It's like, especially like this school, there's no one around, there's no homes around here.
Right.
So there's a lot of places that you can kind of hang out, that's why we try to light up. We just determined like 12 o'clock was like, maybe now that I publicized it, it's something we can hang around and wait on.
They'll be waiting till 12 and they'll.
If we were able to retrofit our lighting across the town, that would be a pretty noticeable savings, because the lighting we have in many of our fixtures now is 20 years old. And as you know, there are many much more efficient lighting options out there for you now. And that's our intent as we go into the next phase of exterior lighting.
Great. Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, next we have our school resource officers. I only see one of them here, correct? Tom. We have Officer Tom Hatch and Officer Kevin Donnelly are school resource officers. So,
Kevin Donnelly is working tonight,
okay.
so,
Keeping
hello
our street-
everyone.
Keeping our streets safe. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And Dave, do you want to just, again, kind of review what school resource officers and what they're doing and what they have been doing, and then?
That's sort of what the CNO is?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is, and just as a way of introduction, Officer Tom Hatch is our new official title of School Resource Officer, along with Kevin Donnelly. And, but we've had, over the years, a very, very strong and positive relationship between the schools and the police department, whether it's working directly with students in what was the DARE program, and also very active membership in our school and police youth at risk task force. Police department has been very aggressive at joining with the school department in leading community forums on substance abuse, and the police department also works with us on the juvenile justice program, community-based justice program. And so we're moving now to this newly defined role of school resource officer, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to have Tom come tonight and talk about some of the work that he does and Kevin does with our schools, and we'll give the committee and the community a little more understanding of what an SRO does.
A couple of years ago, Chief Nolan, at the time he was lieutenant, was very big into these schools. He noticed that the surrounding towns had a full-time officer in the schools, thought we were a little behind with what we did with the community and the kids. So when he became chief, decided to start this organization up, sent myself and Kevin Donnelly to a one-week class in Boston. We were certified as nationally recognized school resource officers. We get plenty of training. Kevin and I are going to another training with an attorney in December on juvenile laws and the cyber crimes that we're having right now. So there's a lot of training that we're going to. Basically what he wants us to do and what we're trying to do is make a safe and secure environment which is conducive to learning for the kids. You know, a lot of kids are being bullied. A lot of drugs are being passed around the schools. You know, we're trying not to have it in the schools, as evidenced by the canine search last week. We're trying to meet with the kids. You know, if the kids see me there once a week just meeting with Principal Bernard, they're going to get to know me, they're going to talk to me more. Just today, for instance, I received a phone call from a mother about a child talking to her about making bombs out of a Pringle box or the Pringle container. There's a lot of information that's coming to us now from parents that they know we're in the schools, so they've gotten my information through Principal Bernard, they've gotten Kevin's and Michael Blank's through Principal Fauché, and the parents are giving us a lot of information now. So hopefully we're going to be able to help our kids. You know, we've seen it in the past. The kids are in high school or the kids are in the middle school. They start to drink a little, they'll smoke a little cigarette, and it builds. You know, those are the starting drugs. They create that little environment and they want to go forward with it. We're trying to educate them. We're not there to get them in trouble. We want to educate them before that happens so they don't take the next step. You know, they always call it the gateway drugs, alcohol, cigarettes. We want to stop it there, educate them. So what happens, you know, we've seen it in the past at some students we've had. You know, we've had overdoses in town. We want to try to stop that.
How often are you at the school? Do you occasionally drop in? You're not there all day, every day, right?
No, we're not, due to obviously the
Right.
financial strain we all have.
Yeah.
I'm on call with Principal Bernard. We both share an Nextel number. So at any time that there's a crisis or he has an incident at school that needs police attention.
We have the same thing at the middle school with Mr. Fauché?
Yes, it would be Officer Donnelly and Officer LeBlanc.
And were you involved in, I know recently, Mr. Bernard had a seminar with parents, I think, I don't know if you went, but were some of the officers involved in that on teen drinking?
I was there, yes.
And I think there's a follow-up coming up in December sometime.
Correct. And it was a great turnout. I mean, we had over 60 pounds, so.
I think that was a good idea for John to call it at that time, because there obviously had been a few incidents in the community.
Exactly.
It was a great time to get the word out there,
Mhm.
that, they were talking about these issues. So, just, if I could ask John, Mr. Fauché, at the middle school, I mean, do you meet once a week, or, do you use the officers for different seminars, and they come in and talk to the kids? How do you?
Yeah, I've been extremely impressed with the response of the North Reading Police. Certainly, we talk with Officer LeBlanc and Officer Donnelly easily on a weekly basis. Officer LeBlanc is still making presentations as part of our health program, drug and alcohol awareness. It's kind of his component that he brings to our health program. So he's in our classrooms talking to kids. So it's been really great open communication. We've had him up unfortunately, on a couple of discipline incidents that he's come up to help us and advise us and those kind of things. But it's been very good.
I think that really helps. As Dr. Troughton said, we've always had, for a long time, a good relationship with the police department in town. And to have that relationship, it helps maybe those discipline issues to stay smaller than growing, which you can see in some schools. And I think that's really important to have that relationship. So, and So you try to develop relationships with the kids sometimes when you're around here, or, I mean, how does that work, or?